on now.
Okay. So again, I'm Jocelyn Albesser. I'm here with DHSIT.
So Paul Vitale, you all love me because I write the guidelines,
You'll love them.
and that's why you all love me.
Yes. I'm Kimberly Ali.
I'm Saurabh Gupta from DHSIT.
Hi, I'm Fallon Young from KUA 2 APM. I'm the quality improvement.
Timothy Tyler from Medina, KUA 8, I'm the QA specialist.
Shemaine Gilbride from KUA 4 Catholic Community Services, case manager. But I was also aftercare for 3 months prior, so I think I can
good.
help speak
Oh,
to
good.
those reports.
Perfect.
Desiree Rose, KUA 3 Turning Points for Children, case manager.
Megan Flamey, Case Management Supervisor, Attorney for Children, KUA 3.
Ryan Monarch, KUA Case Manager from Beth Anna, KUA 8.
Cecilia Rivas, Supervisor, Turning Points, KUA 9. Megan Van Blartham, KUA Case Manager, Turning Points, KUA 9.
Thank you.
Yay! So what we've done so far is we've had some meetings to understand the current process from all the different components. So we have our DHS and we have our extended family, the KUAs, as well. So from there, the documents have been vetted and they are at a very high level just to cover your current processes. And right now we are just beginning to do the future processes. So from here, what we're planning to do is to go through a flow chart with you and just make sure that this is the current process. And as we're going through it, we also do want to capture the future process. So if you look at your questions here, and if we're coming across something that you may want to speak up about, then please do at that time. And then we will do, again, probably on Monday, any other questions that you have that may not have come up. So, are you guys going to be coming on Monday or different people?
Different.
Okay.
So they'll tell you any questions now. If something comes up, like y'all think about this wonderful system over the weekend, just shoot me and Paula an email and then we'll share it. But pretty much usually you cover it in the session.
And this is Jyoti. She's also on the work group. And Brian, who is new to our group, and he will be going over his processes that he's documented through our swim lanes flow charts. So if you could verify that they're okay. Sounds good. So you had any of that? Okay. We're having technical difficulties. You're gonna use, okay, so you're gonna switch back and back and forth? Okay. So these swim lanes flow charts, they're functional flow charts. So off to the side, you'll see all the parties that are involved that have some sort of interaction within the process. So we have DHS provider support, KUA case manager.
Can you make it bigger for them, please? The glare is okay though?
Yeah, there's no
There's no bad, it's just tiny. There we go.
A little better for you?
If I turn off the lights, is that okay?
Yeah. No sleeping. No, because it's exciting. It is. I use it next to it. No problem. Can you introduce yourself?
I'm Kevin Reed from Wordsworth Kua 10,
And what's your position there?
case manager supervisor.
Nice to meet you.
So Brian, do you want to
Okay.
narrate as well?
Yeah, you got Alright, so this is day 3 for me, really, for learning this whole process. So it's been very intuitive. So I don't know how familiar everybody is with swim lanes and how process mapping works and everything. So each one of these on here it's called a swim lane. So it's basically each one of the areas that you are working with. So the KUA case manager, so I don't know how much of a difference there is. You said you're a supervisor as well?
Right now.
Okay. So there's the DHS providers, there's other ones, the PA courts, the teaming, the DHS intake worker, and then we worked with the teaming group over the past 2 days and what their process was, which you guys work, kind of go back and forth between what your handoffs are. So basically what this is showing is in each one of these swim lanes is whoever that person is, what their specific process that they're doing or going through, and then what the handoff that goes in between each one of, so if it's a KUA manager or something, that goes back down to a teaming coordinator or back up to a manager, or it doesn't affect you at all or whatever. So basically that's what we're gonna try and vet out with this. So input is highly recommended, discussions. So anything that you have, what processes or what systems that you do go into, you said some systems, I heard you say forms that you were filling out that you go into and in cases get closed and stuff like that. So we do have the systems listed on here. So from there, you know, what triggers initially, from what my understanding is like, so from here, a PA court can trigger a referral for a safety conference. So we worked with the teaming, and what they had is that intake process with the DHS worker, they will get that, and they will determine, obviously they know if the plan is safe, so this is going on the safe route. If it's not safe, then it's
A different route.
a different route.
Do you think that you should start though with, cause there is interconnections with their, like if you go back to the KUA case manager, there's interconnections, but their stuff doesn't necessarily start with like order of protective custody.
Well, that's where, that's where it's, like, that's what we wanna vet out.
Okay.
So that's where I put these boxes up here because that's what I had seen from other processes and notes and stuff.
Okay.
So I just wanna make sure that,
Is this also where DHS exchanges data, or is it more actions being done?
So if they get it from a referral, so that's why I'm saying, so why don't you listen to their process, that they can tell you their process. So they get it from a referral, not necessarily a OPC, right? The only time they get it from an OPC is if they are in court, but again, everything for them initiates by referral.
Okay.
So they can explain that to Just tell them how you
So
want them to do
for
it.
us, one of the responsibilities I have is to audit the case as it comes in from the front door. And so what I'm doing essentially is just reviewing the referral to make sure for one, our agency or district. And then once that's done, I'm kind of just auditing to see if like the safety assessment was done, a risk assessment, ensuring that all the children are listed, home of origin is the address is a correct address, and then I'm essentially assigning it to a case manager.
Okay, so you audit all the information and the requirements, make sure.
Yes.
And I don't necessarily know if that's everybody's process. The bottom line is they get a referral comes in to a queue, a mailbox or something, and there then is an assignment. So everybody uses staff differently. So it should be referral from DHS, some sort of referral from DHS, and then they do an assignment. So you can say what you're
I can expand just as a supervisor point of view, more case management point of view. So I believe at this time, email sent to our KUA saying you've been assigned a new case. What happens is then our intake department works with the directors, finds out which case manager and case management team is going to then be assigned that case. So usually within 24 hours, 48 hours from DHS getting the initial call, it's depending on the location, it's then shot out to that KUA's location. From there, KUA takes it, assigns it to a case manager. Within 24 hours for 24 hours really regardless, we're going out to see that child in the home. If it's a safety, if it's a safety in-home case, we're going into the initial home of origin. If it's a placement case and the child had been removed and put into a resource home, we're going out to see the child in the resource home. But KUA is working with DHS. It's like a shared case until that 20-day conference. At the 20-day conference, everything's listed on the table. There's a safety account conference in the meantime. Then at the 20-day conference, all the plans are in place, and it's officially passed to KUA. Is that clear?
And then that's where that begins.
Yeah, and that's where the case management end begins, and then we obviously are writing reports and assessments and all that.
Okay. So you get an email
Yeah,
from
our whole KUA gets an email says that the KUA has been assigned a new case. From there, the directors work together to assign it to a case management team.
Okay.
Where's that email come from?
DHS.
So it's like, what is it called?
I probably have
fax.
one.
Yeah.
Called the fax to team.
Yeah.
So that's not getting. So not all of them come by email. Some come by referral, right?
I think the safety conference triggers the email.
The
So-
safety conference triggers an email, but
Yeah.
if I place a kid, I don't have a safety conference.
Right. And so we just get a referral. But generally, if there's a safety conference and it's within the KUA's district, then that KUA would receive the email. And it doesn't necessarily mean, sometimes in that particular instance, some cases come to us, some don't for whatever reason, I don't know why. Like we'll get an email for a case named Wilson, and then we'll never see that case in a queue for whatever reason, I don't know why, but yeah.
Okay.
For forms. We send in the email whenever DHS creates a KUA referral. Send an email to KUA, whichever KUA was assigned.
When a referral is
Yeah.
approved
Approved, right.
by the CRU.
Yes.
So what is the information in that email, like case number and?
Just case name and number, basic, like no actual, no meat of the case, and that would be on the actual document referral.
Just as FYI, the following KUA in-home replacement referral has been assigned to KUA 9Q. Case number, case name, referral created date. And then this is a non-monitored email address, don't write back.
So that one's telling you there's a referral. So the referral gives you entry into the system, right?
Yeah.
You can then move that
And then
case.
when I go open up fax, I see, in the main
Because if you get the email for the safety conference, you don't have anything to look up, right?
Right. We get an email, just saying
And
there's a
you
safety
know nothing,
conference.
just go to the safety conference.
And then we wait for
You
somebody
presume
from
there's a
DHS
mother
to call
and a
us
kid.
and say, oh yeah, this is what that's about.
So it's email from DHS that triggers that they'll get.
Yes. but their entry into the system is not until the referral is created. So they get an email that a referral is created, they get an email that a safety conference is going to be held.
Right.
Safety conference may not generate a referral. That's why you might get an email that a safety conference where they have that safety conference and they decide not to accept that family for service.
Sorry, I just wrote this down. Need a handout. I was trying to follow along.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
There's also a sign-in sheet going out too. If you
Okay, thank
Somebody
you.
has it already.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Okay, so we're gonna need to add this in here. This scenario covers, can we go back up, Jody? OPC?
See, we're sort of mixing apples and oranges here because we've got something about threats identified, 20-day conference. Like, do we want to separate this out between placement and non-placement cases?
Yeah.
Safety versus non-safety in-home?
Yeah, sure.
Because order of protective, that whole line up there is wrong.
Okay.
CUAs don't get OPCs. DHS gets OPCs.
Okay. So,
DHS places kids initially, not CUAs.
okay, so I'm going to just put your process up on the board now.
Jyoti, make that bigger, please. I cannot get the slides on the side away.
And what were the types, Paula?
Non-safety and safety.
So, cases are accepted for service for 3 different ways. They're accepted for in-home safety services because there are safety threats. They're accepted for in-home non-safety services. Those are generally court-ordered referrals for truancy. And then where there are safety threats that can't be mitigated with a plan, cases are accepted for service for placement, and an OPC is obtained. All of those things that accept a case for service result ultimately, hopefully timely, in a referral to the CUA. The CUA then, if it's in-home safety, there's a safety conference followed by a 20-day. We talked about that, yes, the last 2 days, right? Right. For an order of protective custody, there's no safety conference. There's a detention shelter care hearing in 72 hours, hopefully that the CUA can attend. And then there's an adjudicatory hearing in 10 days after that. I feel like I'm wasting all of your time. And then there's a 20-day conference. CUA case management starts upon receipt of the referral. That is their entry into the case, receiving the referral. Until they receive a referral, they can't see anything in the system. So we can't expect them to do anything, though we probably do expect them to do stuff. We can't expect them to do anything because they can't see anything. They don't even know anybody's name necessarily. So that's their entry into the case, the referral. Starts with the referral. If it's a placement referral, they move on from there. There's a 20-day conference. I don't know whether we want to get down to all the hearings that are involved and all of that stuff, but so if it's a placement, so referral. Now do a placement line, do an in-home service line or something like that, because it's a different system. And then there's in-home with court, and then there's in-home voluntary. In-home voluntary should only be in-home safety, unless you downgraded it But you shouldn't be downgrading a case that isn't involved in court to in-home non-safety. You should be closing it. Please.
So it's
Please.
from there, and then it goes to closing. Hopefully.
Right. If it's court involved and it's not placement and it's a safety case and the safety threats are mitigated, but there's a court hearing that's still pending, you can downgrade that case, right? We want you to. So then you don't have to go out there every week. You only have to go out there once a month until we get to the court hearing and get it discharged.
So if it's court involved placement, they do their conferences.
Right? They do their conferences. So if it's safe with the plan, they had a safety conference.
Right.
If it's safe, there's no conference, because there's no point to have a safety conference, because there's no threats to talk about. And if there was an OPC, because there was placement, we already know that there were some threats that could not be mitigated, and those kids had to be removed. So I believe CUAs have different rules, but generally upon receipt of a referral, they're going to go out and visit the child or children and youth. Some CUAs require a safety assessment to be completed. Some, and maybe a risk assessment, Nathan?
Yep. Safety and those.
Okay. Others may only require that the safety assessment that's currently there, if it's new, others may require that it's confirmed. In an SPN, you confirm that yes, these threats do still exist. So we have to acknowledge that there are different rules, and Felicia is the strictest of all. No.
And she's
I forgot I'm on recording.
Okay, so if it's an in-home service, then we are just going to give them services. Best case scenario, everything improves or stabilizes, they go home. If it is court-involved placement, depending on whether the child is safe or not. If this child is not safe, then there's no conference. I'm sorry, if the child is safe.
There's a safety conference only when there are safety threats,
Right.
and the child remains at home. If there are no threats, there's a 20-day conference, but only if it's court involved. DHS isn't sending, or better not be sending, and if they do, tell me, us. Don't get a case from DHS that's not court involved where there are no threats. We do not accept those cases for service. The only time we accept cases for service where there are no threats is because the court has ordered us to. And that's, and you all know, it's generally 15 and 16-year-old truants, right? When we go out there, there aren't any threats, but the court wants them to go to school.
Sorry about that. Okay, so in the case of an OPC, we could do shelter care. That's done in 3 business days. Court hearing in 10 days, and then they have a 20-day conference. CUA's entry point is at the referral approval, and that is done by email or through the referral getting sent out to you.
Can I just say one other thing, that there's a other, so typically the entry point for KUA is for referral. I don't want to forget about those situations when it is after hours though, y'all. So after hour
Oh, good
placements
point.
and on the weekends, we need to figure out a way, and I don't know how it is, that, so we're calling the KUA, letting them know that Paul is in the 26th Police District and we placing them at APM, Ms. Jones, right? Placing them in the APM foster home. It's your case, but they have no referral. The case is not in their name. So how to get it, you know, to make sure they have it. They may have even identified the appropriate placement for Paul. So the referral is always the entry point. There's no referral done on the weekends. After hours. Now I can't say all after hours because you have intake staff who are in the building late and you can't get a CRUs there till midnight. It's primarily on the weekends, y'all, right? Weekends and holidays, because that is managed by the hotline. Now, how else are we doing referral? That's another bridge I gotta cross. That's a bridge I gotta cross, but like you can't do an assignment. This system limits you to do an assignment to a KUA, right? Without, you need a referral in order to do an assignment. So is there some other way? Just maybe just a question for the future.
So,
right?
so in the future state, what we need in ECMS is an indicator that would trigger something on somebody's dashboard to create a referral because a kid was placed after hours or on weekends or on a holiday. Some kind of, that would be a barrel thing, I think.
And even if I was still able to put Paul in that APM foster home through APM KUA, could I still put it in there so y'all could do everything from that particular day and still trigger the referral? The problem, besides you not having a referral, you can't even see anything until you get the referral.
As well.
Yep.
Some contractors sometimes will say we can't place unless we have a referral.
Yep.
In those situations, we're now in limbo.
Yep.
And they're
For
putting their
days.
necks out for us sometimes without any information about the child.
I know. So.
Or medical information, which is also very important.
Yeah.
So what we want is some sort of alert or notification to their dashboard, ECMS, to have the social worker complete the referral to the KUA.
And you know, yes, so that's the DHS social worker.
And really, the alert is, I don't know who the alert is to, but it needs to.
High level.
Yeah, it needs to be probably to, you know, the
Director.
intake director or something like that at DHS that says, you know, this needs to be assigned. You can't give an alert to a person that doesn't have.
Right.
This is assigned.
You're right. Because that's where intake comes in, and just so y'all can see the other side, frustrated because the placement happened, you know, by hotline, middle of the night. They get it as a report the next day, and they like, okay, they told about how you got to do a referral. They like, what you did? I don't even know the kid. So same dynamic.
That you have.
We have.
We get it, yeah.
You ever right? You're like, what? They like, you placed her. You placed Paul.
We're just showing you that we have the same problem.
We have the same problem. Well, we're gonna fix it with this.
That's over here.
Yep. All right.
Is that something you want like escalating type thing, or you just want
It-
No, we gotta
it's
start
already-
escalated.
It's already escalated.
to the director?
Yeah, intake director. I would say intake director and administrator because they do the geographic assignment.
Thing.
I think so. Oh, sorry, I've been away from that. Intake director.
So what else? Is that all your pre-entry tasks that go on?
So maybe did y'all give her a sense of what y'all do once y'all actually get the referral? So y'all do the assignment. So do y'all assign? Well, I'll just say do the assignment because some people use intake and QI staff to do an assignment. Other people use supervisors. I heard case management directors sometimes do the assignment. So I think it varies. So bottom line, it does the assignment. So what does the KUA case manager then do once it's assigned to the KUA case manager? They go out and do KUA case managers. What y'all do? He keep
Our case managers, upon receiving the case, have 72 hours to visit the child, to complete the safety risk, obtain any signatures for consents, the photo, I think ASQs or like Anistel cases.
Answer cases.
So basically complete all assessments and make any referrals. And if there is a medical neglect, then you're asking for the case manager to do a consult, to conduct a joint visit.
When you say case manager, you're talking about DHS case manager?
Cool case
No,
manager.
no.
Case manager. Oh, this is cool, isn't it?
And so all of that is asked of within 72 hours upon assignment.
Now, do y'all workers usually take laptops and they do their structured progress note and their safety assessment and stuff from the field, or do they come back in the office? It varies. Come back in the office.
That takes us to another point.
Yeah, cause y'all, she ain't gotta know that stuff,
Well-
yeah. She wanna.
Well, that, you know, sometimes depending on what the situation, obviously, there's limitations. Right now, we have, if you wanna see a really big, heavy laptop set up, it's understandable. We do our best with working with the IT part of it. If possible, people are doing them there with their laptops. I know I would probably venture to say 90% of our case managers are taking notes on their
Good,
notepads.
and then do it back in the
Yeah.
office.
We had talked, and this is like looking way ahead, but like maybe if there was some kind of way to do it, like maybe kind of like touchpad or something in the future, that would be like
Ideal.
But most of the time, I would say most of ours, what I've seen myself as a case manager previously, you're doing it, you're talking, you're having conversations, finding as much information out about the child, the family, like you said, medical, where they're coming from right now, with the family, with the resource parent, if they're placed, you know, what they need, all that kind of stuff. And then you're following up with the parent at a later time. Initially, you're just seeing that child where that child's at right now, medically, emotionally, behaviorally, you know.
So is there any problems, cause again, this is about the database, so is there any problems once the case manager goes back to try to put these notes in? Like talk about when you think about some of the stuff on here in terms of the duplication, all of that stuff.
I mean, yeah, sometimes there are, when referrals come in, there are sometimes people mention on the referrals that there are no knowledge, like no one has any knowledge of, that may have been in the house when they opened the case up.
Years
or
ago, yeah, we talked
years
about
ago,
that.
or, you know. Exactly.
I've done referrals where John Smith is A and B child,
Or duplicate.
and B doesn't even exist. One other big issue is the addresses. So if DHS says that they live at ABC Street and then the worker finds out that they don't, they live at DEF Street, then when they come back to do their note, it kind of offsets the structured progress note because of the address.
And the like safety assessment
Yeah.
too. Because the safety assessment will have like the one like main address, and then the other option is homeless.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so that really is not a system issue versus people are not updating ECMS.
I guess so,
Yeah,
Well,
they're not
it would be
updating.
if you could easily change the address.
So y'all can't, y'all
And
can't
we
easily
have
change
to
it.
go into fax or something
Yeah.
instead of being an ECMS and try and change any form of address as the primary residence.
So y'all hear that? So that's going in between multiple systems.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. You have to go into
They
the
can't
facts.
change
If
from-
I wanna
from
change your name,
ECMS, that's the
AKA,
issue.
date
Yeah.
of birth, anything, it can't be done in ECMS, you gotta go into fax. And then you can't like do a note approved if they don't match, or if there's like a name spelled wrong or something, so fragile, but you gotta go into a different system.
Yeah.
And that's also problematic, well, at least for us, I know our best practices, our agency doesn't want us changing facts, it must be done through a DHS practice coach as best practice.
Why?
Because it could mess up the whole case if somebody, let's say it's a new case manager, and realistically, and they don't do it correctly, and then everything's incorrect in the rest of the case because that was done incorrectly. So they want us to be going to the practice coach, having them correct it, and then we're able to move forward. With that time's sake wise, we can all understand that.
They don't have them teach you?
Our practice coach taught our CUA, so
And
we go into.
So that's just the practice you do.
That's
So
what
I think
was
the
A
one
lot of them
thing,
would like that,
like
I
you
believe it's best practice in the guidelines, if I'm not mistaken. I know that would be something to just double
No,
check.
that's just a search, that's just really for the search y'all can't do, but y'all should always be able to update your own addresses and date of births and this, that, and the other, cause, you know, mom may tell me that Paul was, this is my daughter's birthday, so Raina was born January 31st of 2008, she's February 2nd. But then now, as a case manager, I got her birth certificate, and I see now she really was born on February 2nd, so I should be able to change that without
I agree.
going through a lot. So the big thing I heard, Jocelyn, is that almost like the teaming staff navigating between Tammy and ECMS, right? They're navigating between fax and ECMS. Like if they are in instruction progress notes, see that is a wrong address, are they able to update it right then and there? As
And in the
opposed to-
form, and then it will populate.
Yes, and populate
everywhere
back or
else.
whatever.
We also can't, like, as a supervisor, I cannot approve any assessments or, especially assessments, case plans, if the address doesn't match. It won't let us move forward with that.
You heard that?
The same with like, if you're doing like a single case plan or something and someone's ethnicity isn't identified, you have to like close out of the single
Yeah.
case plan, go back to
Take a
PACS,
long
fix it,
time.
and then wait for the system to update before you can submit it.
Yeah,
to
there's
be
a lot of
approved.
features that are just very user
It'll pop up
unfriendly
all
like
these
that.
things at the end, like so and so's race isn't identified, so and so's last name is unknown, and things like that. You have to go back and fix.
So it would be nice if you could just fix it in the existing form you're in. That's what I'm
Right.
hearing.
Or if you could click on it and it would directly take you to where you can fix it.
Exactly.
Something. As opposed to keep going back.
Like I have documents that are in the system literally waiting. We're trying to figure out how to correct the error. I've sent, emails to IT, did, tickets and the whole nine, literally waiting, in the system, been closed in court. We can't close it out. It appears on the visit. It's like, it's a case that's lingering and we still can't figure it out. They're like duplicate addresses, duplicate names. There are probably like 30 errors on this case. And like I said, and this is not the first case, like through my experience, there are cases where you go to a teaming conference and they'll tell you, we can't complete a single case plan or we can't, so it's not connected. Like you said, some people have knowledge of going into facts and changing it because it does show you sometimes if there's an error to show you where to go to, but then you have to figure it out from a different system. Like you said, it's not the same system.
It's not the same system.
Yeah, and certain things are just not intuitive as far as where you do things like to have kids populate on the safety assessment, they have to be checked as a household member. But I've been doing this 3 years, and every time I go to update who's a household member and who's not, I have to think like, wait, which button do I press? Do I hit case party? Do I hit? It's not intuitive like that. It's hard to even explain like which items are hard, but it's like if I sat down with you, I could show you this is where I get confused.
So can y'all pull up, they can pull something up?
Well, especially on the cases where there's a lot of kids that might have different different, like let's say there's one birth mother, but she has different fathers.
The fathers and
So
different
it-
addresses.
You're looking like,
Kids
whoa,
with
this is
different
connected
dads.
and all these ways,
Yeah.
and like you say, different household members in each case, so we might have to go back and delete, and it takes a lot of time to get it right then.
Like you have case parties on single case plans that are not even part of the case anymore.
Right.
Like you have to not applicable.
cannot-
Yeah,
you
you
can't delete
cannot move forward unless you do not applicable 3 letters. Like they need the 3 letters in
Yes.
there to move forward.
I know.
3 characters.
Yes.
Yeah, because the teaming staff said that the same thing, that I think in our attempt to pre-populate everything, thinking it's going to be easier,
Yeah.
it pre-populates, right. The grandmother is deceased now.
Right.
From a report that came in '89, grandmom is still on here.
So we did talk about that
We talked
yesterday
about
as
that yesterday,
something
too.
that we wanted as you would be able to select indicators of people that are still relevant. And that those are the people that would then appear on the teaming form. Those are the people that would then appear on the single case plan. So that you don't have to go putting in 3 characters for every other thing that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So if we start at the beginning, Jocelyn, I think what we hear is there are wrong addresses. That's starting at the hotline. So when hotline puts in an address, it should automatically go somewhere to validate that that is a real address in the city. It's not a vacant lot. It's not a street that doesn't exist. Like lots of times, so that our intake gets that a lot of times.
Is that little house thing still
The
there?
little house is there, but they don't
No one
press
click it.
the little house. So I don't want the little house
Y'all know about the little
anymore.
house? Yeah,
Yeah.
it validates everything. Yeah.
I was gonna say, they have a BRT search.
I know, but they have to click a button to do it.
Okay, so you want it.
I
Is
want
anything
it.
automatic?
I want it.
With all
I
this
want it automatic.
technology, can it be automatic?
Because there's nothing more frustrating than going out on a report and you
don't
get
know
there
about
and, you know, it's a Wawa or whatever.
The opposite happens where it insists that this address doesn't exist.
And it does, those little, especially new complexes
Yes.
and all that. I know, that's like the worst thing. And you're like, no, it does.
I swear.
I know, it does. I've been there
I was
myself.
there.
Right. All right, so so they're pulling up, a form so then y'all can walk them through it or something. So which one you think that they should pull up?
Single case number safety plan.
Okay, so a single case plan. Let's hope that there's one in there, or is this a test environment? I would act like don't put what's going on. Go to, if you have to pick somebody, I always pick on Janae Johnson from Kua. Where's she from? Kua 3. Kua 9. Turning Point's Kua 9.
That's the one you
I
deleted
impersonate Janae Johnson, and I deleted one of her structured progress notes before. I got to retrieve. I said, I tell you, I got to get this back. She said, well, she was literally saying to her supervisor, no, I did do it. I'm like, she did it. It was me. I deleted it. I went to minimize, and I pressed. You know, you press it. So it should be something you sure you want to delete it?
Yes.
Because I would have said no. I knew instantly.
And then another, are you really sure you want to
I've done that as a supervisor, and that is.
It's no value to say, are you sure you want to delete this?
Then, like,
But some things do have that, but I don't know why I didn't have it on that. Oh, you know why? It wasn't approved. So that's why her supervisor was looking for it. So that's why I didn't have the validation.
Maybe
Like,
Kim is the culprit on those disappearing risk assessments.
oh, no, I'm honest. So I usually tell you. I called Janae like, Janae, I just deleted it. I'm sorry. I'm getting it back, and I got it back. So. Okay, so let's look at this. This is your single case plan. Someone's. So let's walk us through this.
A new one.
Huh?
I think they started a new one.
Yeah, I just started them.
Okay.
That's fine, we can make it up.
You can make it. Okay, so go ahead. So tell us what's some of your angst when y'all doing
Objective
this.
needed, where it's automatically yes for all the fathers, or even the mom.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
At the very left,
Objective
The left
needed,
side.
yes.
We can't
Yes.
put no, even if that person is
no longer a case
even
party.
if you have no idea who they are.
You can't ever change it to no.
Try to hit no. Try to hit the Y to make it
Yeah.
an N.
Wow. So
So we're
gotcha.
saying NA, not connected,
Yeah,
or
you
not.
have to
not
put in an
involved.
objective to not found unknown.
Yep.
Let's see, what
You even gotta do
objective?
that too.
Yeah.
NA, that's what I'm
Otherwise,
saying,
you can't
NA for
approve.
everything.
You have to put an action step, not applicable. You have
So
to
that's
put
why
a
when I
deadline.
print your single case plans, they 30 pages and it drives me
Right.
crazy. Okay.
Tree.
Something up
And like with terminated rights too.
Yeah,
You have to
terminated
as well.
rights, you still gotta put objectives for the
Oh
parent.
dear Jesus.
APLA, yeah, everything.
Okay.
Wrote the health page with good intentions.
Yeah, it was. And you learn, you
But,
know.
no, I mean really, unknown.
And when it has like race and ethnicity, you'll get to the approve page before it notifies you that because there's no race and ethnicity in facts, that's what he was talking about, you can't approve until you go back into facts to add the race and ethnicity.
So is it, again, I think that
So it's
if there's an error, if you can make the change in your existing form, right, and it pre-populates back as opposed to going into other things.
Because you go all the way to approve, and then you see all of the errors that come in.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you press the error, and then it takes you to facts where you switch over.
There you
Like,
go. There you go.
Look at all those errors you have, Joe T. Yes.
Joe T, I'm gonna have to write you up.
And that could be very intimidating if I see 14 errors, right?
Some of them are like 30.
Oh,
I mean,
God,
they're
I would have
duplicate
a hard
cases, like, I mean, what's another one?
Mom, baby cases, there's a lot of errors.
AKAs.
Oh, the merge party thing.
Oh yeah.
Gotcha.
Invite for father, Butch Floyd is required, date must be prior.
So you know what the
equal
teaming
to
staff
the
told us
parent
too,
age.
because you know that these somehow the objectives here feed back into the conference summary form.
Yeah.
They said that y'all could put in that the family, that successfully completed an action step and an objective, and it never takes it off the form.
Yeah.
It never takes the, if it's successfully completed, it never takes it off.
On their teaming summary, and then we go into the teaming summary to remind ourselves, what did we agree upon as objectives? And it's still there, and I'm like, wait, is this?
It can't, they told us they can't, it shades it and they can't touch it again.
So then what we're doing is telling case managers, use that tool, use the teaming tool to help you make a single case plan, but
Right.
then,
For the
again,
guidelines.
for newer case managers, they're looking at like, oh, these are old from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's not helpful.
Not helpful at all.
And your team is
And it's not helpful for a parent, cause you
Well,
think I made
yeah,
progress.
we dealt with that
and
in the
my
last
form's
2
still
days.
30
So
pages.
we you know,
So we got that.
we
Yeah.
I think we got that pretty. I think we made that pretty clear in the last 2 days.
Okay.
Another,
We really need to recognize that mom made progress and isn't still a drug addict.
Right.
Right.
She has to look at it every time still.
I know,
Exactly.
exactly. So she's
Exactly.
feeling every time
Yeah.
she looks at it like that.
Sign it,
But I
read it.
did it.
Okay. Anything else on the single case plan, y'all?
yes.
Go. Tell them. They listening.
Child information and objectives. So it auto populates like there's the placement section where you fill in, what their goal is, where the child is placed, so forth. If they're old enough and they're in placement, you have to complete a youth in transition section. If they're not, you don't have to complete that. But the issue is if they're in a delinquency placement, none of that populates. All of this looks like they're in home. And so someone, if they want to be compliant, has to go and separately create some form in Word, or they're looking into KUA forms, on DHS Connect, and it'll be some kind of outdated youth in transition that DHS was using in 1995. I don't know.
So question,
And then
stop there for
upload
1
it.
second. If they are in delinquent placement and you don't have a shared case order, why are you putting objectives?
Or like placement section and youth in transition, like all of those sections are going to be required by PMA and by QA, and it still says goal is to remain in home. But if you go to the dependency DRO, because you got these two separate DROs, the
Right.
dependency DRO, like it'll, I
So
think
your
we're
kid is still court involved on the dependent and the delinquent, so it's your shared case essentially. So your shared cases may not come up.
Yeah, boxes that we do need to fill out
Won't
it doesn't
trigger.
give us- yeah.
It recognizes the kid as in home. And the essay, so the kid, in facts, the kid is in placement? And it just shows sure.
So there's something wrong with
So
it.
if it's
It'll say
SCR,
placement in facts.
We got hit on that for the audit.
yeah.
If y'all can find that, can y'all send it to me? So we can just see what the problem is?
Because I don't understand why a kid placed as a delinquent where there's a shared case responsibility order, like there's shared case responsibility where the kid's placed as a dependent, there's shared case responsibility where the kid's placed as a delinquent. Those delinquent placements are in fact in legacy. Like, don't understand why they wouldn't, because they have responsibility to be working with that kid at St. Gabe's, and planning for that kid at St. Gabe's based on the shared case responsibility order. So I don't understand why that's not
So
popular.
it's not showing up in facts too.
Yeah, she said it shows up as an in-home, so they can't do youth in transition, y'all can't put
So
any
that,
objectives.
so that when you then go into ECMS to create a single case plan on one of these kids, he's not showing as being in placement, so none of the placement stuff is coming up for him, right? Am I
Right.
translating
Like
this?
the youth in
Yeah,
transition,
yeah.
the
Yeah,
placement
yeah.
box.
And most
And
of the,
Nathan said you see the kid in placement,
Right.
right? It's in facts, but it won't for some, okay.
And I feel like fundamentally we just need more flexibility, like options to populate
Right.
stuff. You know what I mean?
I think, to be honest, because then on the IT, because I always talk about flexibility, and then on the IT side, and then on the state side, and the AFCARs and all these other things, is that when you have too much flexibility, so you gotta do a balance,
Yeah.
then people don't answer any questions, right? And when you talk to social workers, they like prompts and this, but I think we make it so strict sometimes. So that's why we're trying to do this better. When we roll out the next thing.
because, a lot,
Yeah,
a
right.
lot of these,
Right. We wanna.
a lot of these things you have to understand are not things that we necessarily like. Why the federal government wants to count Hispanics, right? It's no longer a race, although most Hispanics want to be a race, right? You're either black Hispanic or white Hispanic, and then Hispanic. Why the federal government doesn't want to count Italians is beyond me. But, so, like, the fact that we have the ethnicity indicator for one ethnicity is a federal regulation. Similar to my absolute favorite, mother married at birth, right? Like,
Y'all love that one,
I
right?
love that because it means when she was born, she was actually married. Is what the question's asking, right? But that's a federal requirement, you know, and I'll put my politics out based on a Republican Senate and House of Representatives that wants to be able to say that all kids in child welfare are born from mothers that aren't married.
Yeah.
And so if we don't have that in the system, we lose federal money for it. If that question's not answered. So it's not like we make this stuff up.
Yeah, y'all probably think we make it up.
Sometimes we do.
Sometimes I do, but I put my head out. I'm like, I'm completely making this up. Like,
Even what about an alert when system changes come up? Because I remember they put on a domestic violence prompt. And it never,
There you go.
never it was an email or explanation or even I remember they put on the safe with a plan prompt when you're doing the single case. I mean, when you're doing the notes, structured progress note.
The
You have to
SPN's
put-
replacement. Everybody's like, wait,
They
is
changed
it
up.
unsafe in the foster home or unsafe?
Exactly. And they never explained it. So are you putting that the kid is unsafe because now they're in foster care, so now they're unsafe, or are they unsafe in that home that you're visiting?
So let me say this to you about the domestic violence thing. Kim and I saw it for the first time yesterday. So that's how good our communication is. Absolutely.
we did yesterday. I was like, what? They can't prove a note? This is time to visitation? I was like, what are you talking about? Yes. So we have to do it. So that's not a systems issue. It's
a communications
communication
issue.
issue.
Obviously, this is a good thing to count because if we can count how many, that then informs the kinds of services that we need. So if 80% of our families have domestic violence in them, then we don't probably have enough domestic violence services to provide for them. So now, should I tell them about what's coming on this?
Let's tell them afterwards.
Okay.
After we do this.
After then I'll embarrass myself.
Yeah. We'll tell you after that.
You'll
Nothing
be so excited.
right. Yeah.
Nothing. All you have to do is answer no.
Yes, and so you can move on. But
And I think another systems issue, like I had some notes that we wanted to bring up.
Oh,
good.
Get it out.
Ticklers, so like we don't know if something's waiting for pending for approval in the system either. That's major, especially because of the time frames. So like we want to get these safety assessments, risk assessments done in timely manners for us to make sure we have good audits, and also to make sure that we are getting them done in timely manners in general. But supervisors, managerial kind of end, we don't know if there's a pending approval.
you gotta always go in,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
gotta keep
Couple
checking
times
it.
a day or whatever, but it would be more user friendly if we were shot an email or when we get some kind of notification that pops up in DHS that connects showing us that there's something that needs to wait your
What if you had a dashboard
That'd be great.
that said,
yeah.
like every time?
No, not that dashboard.
Yeah, no, not that dashboard. Like I know I have
Not
this
that
little-
dashboard.
like,
Then we
I-
didn't tell y'all about it. We like, oh, you can't close the dashboard.
I would do vice versa too, because when I was a supervisor, I would send back for clarification, but my case manager
Yeah.
wouldn't know.
Right, there you go.
Unless I
Yeah, so it doesn't even go back to the
verbally
worker.
told them.
So return for clarifications.
So when when forms are created that need approval of a supervisor, the supervisor needs to get a notification on her or his dashboard that there's something in there, whatever it is. There's an SPN pending approval. There's a single case plan pending approval. There's a risk assessment pending approval,
And
safety
then,
assessment.
Like she said, vice versa. If,
And then-
if the case manager had one rejected, saying your thing was rejected,
They
you should
should
work
have
on
it.
XYZ.
So every
So
form.
pending and rejected, anything that needs approval.
So every
That is so
form
helpful.
any form that needs approval that allows for it to be sent back for clarification or addition, then that has to go on the worker's dashboard. Hey, the supervisor just sent you back this SPN, because you didn't talk about domains or something.
But then they don't say like, oh, well, I'm seeing it 10 days later, and then we're all stuck in this fact that nobody even saw it, you know, and they're very busy, so.
Yeah.
Understandable.
You don't see- we
Understood.
understand, we
Understood. We
understand.
understand.
Yeah.
And, we want you to think
This is your wish
broadly.
list. That's right. That's
Keep
right.
going. Spit it out.
Well, I wish that we could utilize dashboard in a way. I mean, as a supervisor, first off, when I uploaded dashboard, it take like 45 minutes. And I don't know if it's because of the number of cases that we had, but if those, like the red, yellow, green flag, if our case manager could get that tickler to say, hey, your safety assessment is due within the next 3 to 7
We gotta go in
days,
there and audit, like.
I think we would reach a level of compliance in which we're not harassing people or, you know, it's just.
Because they see it.
They see it and
manage it.
and they know that they can do it and they can be tickler back to the case manager supervisor to just say, hey, it's been entered, you need to get 10 days to approve it. I think that we would reach a
Or something
higher
saying,
level.
same thing, I think you're saying the same thing, but the safety assessment, your safety assessment update, let's say 6 months later, or situation change.
Right.
You know, or single case plan, same thing, will be due in 2 weeks, so the
Right.
case manager's thinking about it already versus, oh man, I'm looking at it and it just became due yesterday. Versus now, as a supervisor, as also with QI, I'm sure different QI people here, they have to do that manually for every single case.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we all have hundreds of cases, whatever. Manually to do that is taking so much time, I'm sure money as well.
Yeah.
So if there was a system that was able to say, if we can't even, like in Excel right now, if we had them all in Excel and we said, okay, we can pull out all the in-home, safety, where all kids are over 14. Right now, we cannot do that. Everyone has to go in manually and look at it and think, okay, where's the birthday? Okay, it takes so much time.
Yeah.
So something like an Excel spreadsheet that has the case.
No,
case
they
not
don't
even
want
Excel.
an Excel
Not a
spreadsheet.
Like
spreadsheet.
Excel.
A tickler for
way
each
that you
individual
could
one.
pull
To track
things.
the
No,
different
almost like
things.
a more sophisticated dashboard. I think what you heard Fallon is, I think we had some of the good elements to it.
Yes.
It's too slow, right? It's too slow. So maybe looking at the existing dashboard, there might be a next step, and then having some people talk about it. I haven't seen it in well over a year, probably in 2 years. So I don't know if it's still functioning. No, it's gonna take 45 minutes to load. No, I don't want to see it. Fallon, I'll be back at the office.
Where is the dashboard refresh?
It's
Where's
in,
the dashboard?
If you go under
kind of
quiet
fast.
facts, it doesn't refresh is the main problem I have with it
Stuff
now.
isn't accurate, like
It doesn't refresh.
Seems like
Yeah,
it doesn't
if
talk to you.
they do a document late, then it still shows that document is outstanding instead of refreshing to show when the next document is.
Gotcha.
And how
It
long
still
takes?
shows it for late forever.
Okay, now we're going to see how long it takes to upload the dashboard. I think we should all go to lunch and come back. Oh,
Oh no, it's not done.
They said, "Oh no, it's not done."
That's the computer system.
So then you go
Yeah,
click
it's
on
zero.
employee, wait, he doesn't have any, whoever you're in doesn't have any cases, so you have to go to peers on that drop down to the
under
left. Yep, show flags, additional tasks for, and then peers or subordinates, I don't know who this person is, so.
Who did you log in as?
I logged in as
It's just supervisors. So yeah, then click on one of the case managers and then hit the refresh button right next to that.
So Jocelyn, basically, all of the forms that have to be redone, like within time, right? Safety assessments, risk assessments, single case plans have to be done at a minimum every 6 months. So when I
They
do
want to do
one today, they need to get a reminder 2, 3 weeks, 3 weeks.
No, like a
Anything would be
month.
helpful right
Because
now.
you gotta do.
A month, the worker needs to get a reminder a month before, and the supervisor as well.
Yeah.
Or if they could
Say,
or if
hey,
they could
saying, hey,
specifically date it to
basically,
when-
it's the cycle forms need to be done,
right.
really.
If they could
It's
specifically
safety,
date it for the
risk.
cycle, so that the safety assessment and the risk assessment ties into the single case plan, because there's a deadline for that.
Yep.
So if they could if we could just go in and it could say, okay, your safety assessment is due on 11/30,
Because your single case plan is due December something.
Right.
Right. So
if
you
we
ain't
can
doing
get that specific tickler to say that, then we would be.
So you want one tickler that has all the dates for all the
dashboard
milestones?
it shows you, if you did something late, it'll show a red flag, but for something that's upcoming, it'll show a green flag or I think a yellow flag. But if that yellow flag could say that safety assessment needs to be done by 11:30, then that would, because I feel like for our CUA, we're doing some of the documentation, but it doesn't count because we're not doing it in the time frame.
Right. It's late.
So if
we
we're
don't have anything to trigger it, I got you.
And I don't know if it's because of I don't know what it's several reasons, but if it could just show us that we had specific dates to follow, it would be easier for us to manage the documentation being done in a timely manner with an approval in a timely manner as well, because they both count. So if the case manager did the safety assessment on 11:30, then I would if that tickler could go to the case manager's supervisor to say, John Smith did the safety assessment, you now have 10 days to approve. If that.
You gotta approve it, you gotta sign it, you gotta mail it, and all of that stuff is in PMA, scoring.
Right.
So you're not mailing it on time, you're not
Yeah, because that's
signing
all
it on time.
that's all state regulations. I know.
The same thing, I can also
Can I just say something first? Just to give you some hope. Kim and I have a meeting.
Monday.
Coming up. Is it Monday?
Mm-hmm. Data reports.
Yeah.
In the morning. Show me y'all coming. Who's coming to my data report meeting?
So
our data report meeting?
Since you heard December 2018, there is some work that we are doing to try to get you some kind of data reports.
Yeah. So think about that. I should send an email out just to remind y'all to think about it. The QA staff, but it is on. I think it's on Monday. Oh, it's Tuesday.
Okay.
So I was just gonna add another thing, kind of on the same, similar, but kind of just change. So we have a lot of subcontractors that we need to get information to as well, and we're constantly getting these subcontractor audits where they have information they gotta send to the state. They're not able to access this at all. So again, we're manually going back. Case managers, our QI department, case aides are all on board with trying to do these audits as we're trying to get things in as well. If there was some kind of way that they would have, I know this is a closed system, but some kind of way that they could access some of these documents so that we're not, again, doing double work. That's major. As well as I had a personal thing that I had worked with this week. It's a case that's coming up for termination of parental rights. We had to pull all supervised visit notes from when the time the case started. The case has been open for almost 2.5 years. So my case aides this week pretty much were working on just going through this case and saying, all right, what's a supervised visit note? Manually 1, 2, 3, it took so much time. If we were able to say, some kind of filter to say pull all supervised visit notes and then they generate all of them right there versus having to go in manually and say what kind of note is this.
Yeah, I would feedback also. I'm an outcome specialist, so that's part of my job too. I have my team. I have to manually go out and right now I have 9 cases that need things and they're asking for BHI, SCP, you're structured notes, and you, like you said, it could be 9,900 structured notes, and I have to literally piece by piece go and look and see which one is. So if we could figure out a better, that will work, because that's oh wow.
Because it doesn't say, when I look, it'll just tell me the SPN when it was generated and then when it was completed and the type, right? And the type. It doesn't say this was a supervised, right? This was a supervised visit. Everything is in the structured progress note.
But the filter system I think is good because as a director I get requests for all the families with fathers involved for the whole CUA. So it's like I have to literally ask each supervisor, I need a list, then they have to go to each case manager, so it gets filtered that way and it comes to me, so I'm, with the supervisors, I need your list. It's we can do a filter system where you can say, cases where fathers are involved. Click it and it'll give you you know, 300 cases where there's a father. Other than that, we have to literally go down the chain that way.
So what I hear y'all is really what something that we talk to the KUA leadership about is their ability, and Nathan, you could probably speak to this too, the KUA's ability to extract reports directly as opposed to it always going into PMA. So I don't think it necessarily is about the specific report because each KUA needs is differently, but they should be able to extract reports from this database.
Yeah. I can, a lot of those reports I can actually produce myself right now. You know, it's so I guess that's one thing just with quality assurance departments, you know, if you do need a certain report, oftentimes we can get it to you very fast.
Do you have to do it manually though? Like she was saying?
So,
like
for supervised visit, it depends on what they put. I guess it depends on how they're going to put in their supervised visit links. If they're using sort of a separate form, which is what we do, then it's not that hard because everything's going to be labeled supervised visit. So you sort of go in.
Y'all use traditional.
You have to be
But do you have to go in
must
though?
put it in a
You have to
certain
go
progress
into
now.
a certain case to go in and see that this document is uploaded in each case,
Yeah.
as opposed to
So I
filtering
do.
it.
Yeah, I do have to, especially for like live data, we can't pull, I guess, say raw data, raw data elements from ECMS. I can just do that from facts. So that I think is what this meeting on Tuesday is going to be about, is trying to get reports for them. We've been asking for it for a while.
For a long time, but we still will put that down there.
But yeah, that's
And that, yeah, this
definitely
meeting is
for the
really like
future
the interim.
system.
That's right. They should be able
They
to
need to be
do
able
it
to-
easier. Cause I don't know if all of them is savage, you Nathan, cause I hear a lot of frustration, you know, in our meetings about the inability. I know our staff, so for example, a director at DHS, before the whole, whatever that warehouse went down, could do like all those Cognos reports and pull reports themselves. They didn't have to go to PMA to say, can I get a report on all my outstanding board extensions? For example,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
they should be able to manage some sort of day-to-day management reports.
So that's something
So
we're
if we
hoping
get
to
a
get to
list-
soon.
Yeah. Sooner than 2018.
And
Interim
2018,
yeah.
you know,
We'll let you push that button.
Nathan, so could you get a report of cases where there are fathers that are actively involved?
Now that would actually be difficult. That would be difficult. Because yeah, I can only pull reports with facts. I can. Let's see. I mean, if really everyone wanted to do that, I could figure out a way to do it. I guess based on like the previous one. That helps, but I mean, right now we're not extensively tracking it to the point where I can get a report on all of our cases.
Yeah.
I was just asking, trying to.
That was a report that came up a couple of months ago. I forgot what federal, we had to send in.
I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah, it was one of these reports we had to send in. We literally had to go through our entire KUA and identify, and it took us days, and we had to put together this big report. So it should have been literally like if we're entering into the system, you should be able to somehow filter what was entered. And
You wanted to say
I
something?
was going to say, just on a single case note, I think a lot of the checkboxes are sort of go unused, aren't relevant to a lot of the visits. And
Hold on, wait, let me stop there. Can you pull up a single case plan? A structured progress note.
Yeah.
Structured
And
progress.
I was just in terms of tracking, if you made checkboxes, wouldn't that make it easier to track things, because the checkboxes would signal something. And also, maybe going back to talking about the single case plan and the goals, like it would be really cool if somewhere in the single case note, since like every visit is supposed to be addressing one of our goals, if the goals had like a little checkbox and they populated with the goals of single case plan, that would not only save people typing, but it'll also be very specific as to in the note.
You know what to talk
we're
about.
working on this goal here. For the
Gotcha.
single
That's
case
a great
note.
idea. I just that's a great idea, because that's also helping with permanency, and you're
Yeah.
always on
all
top
this,
of
I
the
mean,
goal.
all this
Those right
stuff,
there.
Yeah,
we
you
rarely check any of these boxes to sort of, you know,
Don't go up yet.
Jody,
Let me see. I want to
bring
read
it back down.
We
Thank
want to
you.
read it.
credit check for older youth. I mean, like, you know.
So you can
You
check
should
off
be doing
supervised
this
parental
one.
visits.
This is a good box. You should be.
So there's supervised parental
But it
visits.
doesn't
Budget's
populate
on there.
anything else. It doesn't. If you just check that, you still can't see that that's a.
I'm just saying
supervised
maybe-
parental
It'll
visit.
still say structured practice. I know because I always and then I'm clicking like I'm like okay maybe this structured
So
practice.
you had to
might
go
say-
through every SPN to see if it was checked.
My two staff did, yeah. It took like almost a week and a half.
In terms of the visitation reports that we get to, the case managers, when they're getting the report and they have to audit which children have or have not been seen, they have to go into each individual structured progress note because when you just go to click it, it shows, like you said, the last date and the date created. But if I have a case with 3 kids, and I go and look at just that, I'm saying, oh,
No, you
the
gotta
kids
look
were
to see
visited.
which kids.
But no, you actually
might
have to
have
go
missed a
in
kid.
to see if
Yeah.
that kid was checked.
Right.
So if there was something to kind of say, I don't know why I keep using John Smith, but John Smith was seen. I don't know if that would be on the first thing that you go into structure progress note, or is there something we could add to a filter process to show like John Smith last seen if we're able to like type in John Smith's name and then maybe look at a Dropbox to say like visit for September 2016. Maybe if we click on it, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have the
kinda
visitation
but
tracking.
it takes long to track
That's
visits for
one-
children.
One thing that our directors have expressed to me is they claim at least when they were at DHS a while ago, they used to be able to run their own visitation reports.
We can't do that. We have to
And
wait
yeah,
for
we
DHS.
only get them weekly, so.
Yeah, at DHS you could, but they used to do Cognos reports, but they don't have access either. Now that it went down. So I think these are some conversations that we can have at the meeting on Tuesday, so don't let me forget. Because it really is about the KUA's needs, what can we do? I'm gonna be honest, we're gonna have to prioritize because we don't wanna go back to when y'all used to get y'all used to get so many reports that was ridiculous, right? That what is the report you need to manage day to day?
Jody, do me a favor. Would you click on credit check for older youth?
Let's see if it populates.
I just want to see what does it.
Oh,
I
your
just
narratives,
put a
you gotta
narrative.
write something.
Oh, okay.
But that was something I think that was added because they started mentioning it in the teaming conferences. And they were saying that for the older youth but again, it was a communication gap because
Oh,
now
absolutely.
the case manager's like, we're supposed to do that? And they're like, yeah, we're transitioning these kids into, you have to have that discussion. But again, this was something that wasn't really communicated to as why or,
Right. So the why is because sadly, unfortunately, kids in the child welfare system have had their Social Security numbers frauded, and we have to do the federal government's requiring these checks because kids are ending up like owing hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay.
I'm 3 and I got a cable bill in my name.
Exactly, yeah.
Another thing I was thinking about for structured progress note is our director brought to our attention last week that when we're going in and we're making visits that we have to do the home walkthrough every visit.
And the new policy Jessica came out with, that you have to now, every time you visit a home, you have to do a walkthrough of the entire home.
Did I put that out?
I mean, I know it had Jessica's name on it, it probably
So
had your name on it.
I was thinking instead of the separate sheet, because I don't know if everybody has their own sheet that they do.
We do a walkthrough sheet.
And so I was thinking maybe we can add it to the structural progress if it's required. Why not add it to say during the visit the case manager? I mean that's going to be in the meat of the note, but a checklist like we have on our separate home checklist sheet to say like case manager, fire extinguishers, running water, storage, food storage, blah blah blah.
Of the note,
at the bottom
Go,
of the.
go to
structure
the
of
bottom of
progress
the
note.
note.
It says like fire extinguisher noted,
Mhm.
there at the bottom.
So it's no problem with the rest of the stuff?
I mean,
That's fine. It's just, yeah, all right, so go there.
It says smoke.
Actions regarding this
proper
visit.
sleeping.
It was newer.
Because actually the visitation, I mean, the visit tracking doesn't track just the visits in the home and the walkthrough and all that. They track all, like anytime you seen the kid, you did a note and checked the box. So really, it doesn't track if you're in the home, seeing the kid in the home, doing the home walkthrough. It tracks anytime you see the kid in the office, you see the kid anywhere, court, and it'll track that you saw the kid, but it doesn't specifically say, you know, in the home and you did a walkthrough in the home. So again, I think as part of the filter system, you can kind of tell which kids were seen in the home as opposed to which kids were seen in the office for visits or in court, because you may have a kid, you know, you can't see him in the home, but you've seen him in court or in school or somewhere else.
Joe T, you know what he talking about? How, if you go back to, can you go back to that screen when you was picking like structured progress note? No, go to the, minimize that. You know how you was picking, when you went to the form structured progress note, all the stuff that was on your left hand side? I don't know
Click
what
on
you
the
call it.
Order of your in-home or out.
It doesn't matter.
Wait,
See how that is?
Just click.
Cancel. Don't click anything.
Don't click the plus.
Yep, let's keep it like that. You see how you can't tell, you only can tell generally what it is?
Right.
Structured progress note, out of home visit, it'll say like in-home visit. They can't tell if it's a supervised visit. So even all those little things you check off, you saw it was something that said parental supervised visit, it won't tell you here that it's a parental supervised visit. It only gives you the form name as opposed to whatever that little box. If you go back to that, whatever that box says, the type of visit. So it probably shouldn't give you the form name as much as it should give you like that type of visit or something, right? Y'all?
So there's a lot of real estate there. There's nothing on document date, right? So that can go away, and then there's all that real estate next to status.
So
that
they could at least
have
say-
places that we could make some
So then you can
changes
see.
now.
Yeah.
Um,
So go back to that. Go back to the actual structured progress note. Click on one. And I'm not saying doing it now because I don't know if it makes sense. But the purpose of contact, you know, somebody would have said a supervised parental visit. So if it was a box that told you the purpose of the contact, and y'all can look, at least you can look and filter it like that as opposed to going, because I know it drives me crazy
Yeah.
to go through each structured progress note.
So Jocelyn,
So the
not with the
ability
future, but
now.
perhaps now, we can populate the purpose of the contact. Now, if they put several, that may be problematic, but
Right.
certainly if you know,
Certainly, if they
so
do
it was
supervised
real
visit.
estate there.
At
to be
least
able to-
some of the major ones,
The
like
major ones, supervised
visit,
visit.
home, safety visit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That way the supervisor knows what they're looking for too.
Visual face to face.
Or safety assessment visit. I mean, again, in your
Okay.
note when you go in, you can see it was checked, but as a supervisor, you have to make sure that there's a safety assessment note attached with that safety assessment that's done within 3 days. So the note is done in 3 days. At the end of that note, at the end of that safety assessment, you want to see a note attached to that. Again, as a supervisor, when I'm looking in there to see and approve their their safety assessment note, I can't tell it's a safety assessment note. It's a normal note, or it can be an in-school note, or
Yeah.
I mean, it's some general idea, but.
So
one
add the
that say
purpose of
in
contact.
home.
I wouldn't add it yet because what I think we got to do is have some subsequent
What are
conversations
the
about
priorities?
how to narrow it down. Right. Okay.
I mean, if
Alright.
they check one thing, yeah, obviously, but they could be checking several.
Which one should be prioritized?
I don't
think is the main.
Can you check several different things on that?
Yes, it's like all that applied. So if I met the family at court, right?
Yeah.
And I also talked to them about a credit check.
Okay.
And gave them a referral. Yeah, we can change that. Some of that stuff don't mean a thing. We understand. We completely understand. All right. Anything else? So y'all talked about if the goals from the single case plan could sort of be a trigger into the structured progress note. the goals that are not completed goals.
Right.
Well,
maybe-
objectives, I should say, is not goals. Objectives.
There was a way for the single case plan to talk to the structured progress center to like pre-populate it. I don't know, that's like another level thing, but if they were able to like connect to it.
Dream big.
Yeah. So that's this.
Or
like,
even
every-
give you the major things. So not every like get made that you know mom has a drug,
Mhm.
you know, drug issue. So you should be talking about that. Big, right?
The
Gotcha.
larger level, I believe that would really help address permanency because you're never not keeping that goal in your mind. Because like we've had an issue in the past, and I do think we're getting better at it. But then you might go see a family, and you're sitting here talking about, oh, the house looks like this, and the school is this, but it was open for physical abuse kids.
Yep,
You know,
and
like
you
we're
ain't
not
talking nothing
talking
about
about
it.
the meat every single time. What are the goals? And if you keep talking about the goals, I think we could close cases quicker.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Sounds good to me. So y'all said something about if the is this true on the structured progress note? If the addresses are not aligned, can y'all do the approval? Did I hear that earlier about structured progress note?
Not
Or no,
with
that's
notes.
good.
That's
Not with
mostly
notes.
with
Okay.
assessments.
Alright.
Mostly, especially with safety assessments.
Safety assessment.
That's
Okay.
big, safety
So that's
assessments and
good.
risk.
I think we had an issue where like a kid.
Yeah, the children don't show up in the same day if you have the address incorrect.
Right.
Yeah, the
Right.
address is incorrect. All right. Okay, y'all, that's good. For structured progress note, y'all want to go back to that dashboard thing? It finally came up.
Did it?
Oh wow! So say that first one, right?
Yeah, so you can click on it and it should show you where it is.
But say if it was done,
Yeah, if it was,
even if it was late, it still won't drop off.
that's what it was doing for me, and I put in multiple tickets on it. I haven't heard anything yet. So I know it was doing this before, and I believe they fixed the issue briefly. And then I guess it reverted back to
I
not
think it
refresh.
takes a couple of minutes to drop off maybe. Did you try it?
He's been doing it for years, Jody. Trust me. Nathan's been doing it for over a year. I
He
remember him talking
submitted
about
so
it.
many tickets that his car's
So it's
gonna
not.
get
It has
booted.
nothing to do with that, Jody. It's just broke. So we can turn it off if it's broken.
His
Because it's
car-
probably slowing something else down. So if it's not working, we should have a conversation about that, whether or not you just turn it off. Because everything is red, and it might have been done. And why does it say it multiple times?
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Different dates. Oh wait.
No, it's the same date, right?
Oh, different cases.
They're different cases.
Oh, different cases. So the someone usually asks me that question. Constance Gilmore asks me that question all the time. She wants to run on whether or not supervisors are doing the 10-day. I mean, not their 10-day. They're doing their monthly supervision on each case. You know how they do a document, right? I'm gonna tell her to look at this, but it's all going to have red flags. She usually asks that, so she knows so that she can go and follow up. She asks that.
That means like a video on stage.
Yeah, so you can see it. Yeah. Okay.
Totally different thing, but also Fast Cans is not connected to any tickler either, so we never know. That's always an issue with those assessments.
And y'all have 60 days for that.
So that's another assessment, and it seems like that works on its
Different
own system in itself, so we're not able to see again when that's.
And the ASQ either, right?
ASQ's probably worse.
That's the worst.
Just because for someone, like I got one case with 9 children, and there's like 4 kids that are under 5, so there's so many ASQs, so we're having to go back and do them manually, trying to see what's due when. That's probably the worst one, in my opinion, is ASQs. It's hard, and there's not a great database. I don't know, how was your experience with ASQs?
I mean, the ASQs do show up on the dashboard sometimes. I mean, I don't, right now, I wouldn't doubt they're not showing up. For me, I just have to send actual ASQ reports. And even then, I'm concerned about just sort of inundating everyone with reports where they can stop looking at all. Because really, I mean, the only other way is to go into the application.
Manual.
Yeah, look through your cases.
And you figure some of them are due every 3 months if it's an infant.
As a supervisor, I literally spent most of my time doing that, like literally tracking it so that the case managers, as opposed to them being able to, you know, easily do it themselves. I spent a lot of my time giving them sheets saying, listen, this is due, this is due, this is due. Especially, you know, knowing that PMA is tracking single case plan with FAST, with a, like all of those things are tracked together. So again, if they're not due at the same time, you may have them in, but you're gonna get a bad score based off the timing.
So the goal, y'all, is to put cause the ASQ and the FAST and CAN is not in ECMS, are they in what, DHS Connect?
I think that they're
Where they at,
separate,
DHS
right?
Connect?
Yeah.
So the goal is to put all of the forms in one place. So that will help. And the FAST, CANs, and ASQ is nothing we can do about changing those forms. So we won't go into that. Okay. Anything else, y'all? What else? We didn't talk about so they can just write it down. You're an outcome specialist. You can how do you document your work as an outcome specialist?
Worry about what, the notes or what?
Yep, how do you document your notes?
ECMS.
Yep, but what you have to do, so can you sign in and then and you have access to a structured progress note?
Yes.
You don't have to impersonate anybody?
No.
Okay. So what it goes down to further level, like the aftercare worker has to?
Yeah. Well, the aftercare has their own file, like just keep stuff physically in Word, type stuff up, and keep stuff in their files, just to have your documentation since it's not in the system because that case is already closed.
Who has to do the impersonation? Because I know what levels of staff. Do you know that?
Case aides.
Oh, case aides have to impersonate
And
people.
aftercare.
What, you know somebody?
They do.
And aftercare has to
Permanency.
impersonate. Permanency workers were the same as outcome, but you said you don't have to impersonate. Do you impersonate your supervisor?
In the beginning, before Constance gave us our own individual login and stuff to them.
I know ours still have to do the impersonation.
I do the impersonation.
Yeah, there was a new access level that was created, I think, at the previous one of these meetings. So now there's a document uploader access. And so all of our case aides have the document uploader access. I still sort of have an issue with that. We don't have to talk about that now. So basically, if you have, you know, these support staff that just upload stuff, they don't have to impersonate people. I don't know if that's happening.
How about if they have to document? So I know a case aide on yesterday supervised a visit. She will not be able to put in that visit without impersonating someone.
She can either, if she does a separate document, like outside or a
Word,
paper
and then she would have to
document,
upload it in.
or she can do contact law. But yeah, she can't put in a note.
You can't get in without impersonating your supervisor.
So you don't even have a login,
No, we have a login,
but you just can't get.
but if you go in, no cases.
Oh, you can't see because you ain't assigned any cases.
Nothing
Right.
Unless you impersonate a supervisor.
This the same for me. I have to
A QI person?
No, that
Oh,
was
if you
actually an
had-
issue. You can go into the cases. There's just a different way to do it. That was a huge thing with my staff. You have to search for the individual cases.
Hey, oh yes, see, but you can't. If I want to audit as a QA person, audit all of Paul's cases, I couldn't pull up all of Paul's cases and audit. I would have to put in the case, each case number for his case.
You can do a worker search too as well. But that's just for one person. You can't do one whole unit.
You can't do a whole unit in your.
Well, I can them impersonating their supervisors, they got too much access.
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't like impersonating.
I'm gonna say it because like
Y'all hear this?
I'm a case aide. I impersonate my supervisor. I could go into everybody's stuff, change structure, progress notes, approve stuff, take stuff out in and
You
out.
can.
Like,
You can delete like I did.
I can delete. I can fix. I can do everything, and I don't think that they should have that
It's
much.
just a huge security. I agree. We agree.
Because we had situations where we had workers going into other cases, changing notes and putting different dates on it, and people that can impersonate supervisors, and it's like it's too much access.
Yeah, so they need to. So some way. So
we need to have
let me
access
tell you
to
about
the
the
cases,
structure.
but not the supervisor what she or he sees.
Right.
Right.
Right. So if it's a way that the case is still assigned to the CUA case manager, but there are support staff that'll work alongside, like you as a case aide, you assigned to the whole unit, right?
Right.
So she essentially works with 5 COA case managers, but she may work on those 5 COA case managers, she may work on 2 cases each out of each person, so that's 10 cases. If it's some way that she can access those cases only, do what she needs to do as a case aide, because she might have to do a structured practice note, for
Well,
example.
I mean, I have to access every case because I work with five case managers, but on every case. Because see, the thing about it is that what in the rules and things, the guidelines,
he wrote them.
We are allowed to do almost anything besides risk assessments.
You should be doing safety assessment. You should be
Safety
doing quality
assessments.
visits.
Right. Safety assessments. I'm trying to see. Right.
All that stuff.
All like yeah. But the thing.
Can't do
but the
anything.
thing-
Yeah.
No, it's not that. It's not that because see, we can still like if the case initially comes in, we just can't go and do the initial visit, but we can do every single visit after that. We can do every single visit, supervised visit. We like it's just certain things that we can't do.
You can't do a visit in lieu of the COA case manager. They have to do the quality visit.
The initial one.
Right. Period.
No, and the
Every
month
month.
period or the weekly or
Well,
the
thing is that they just came in, the email just came down that they have to do their monthly visit within the first through the 15th because initially, as long as it was the first visit, then anybody can do the visit. The aftercare worker.
That's wrong.
No, I think they got miscommunicated. There, in the guidelines, there is something, or on the QSR,
September 1st or 3rd.
something that says that the family should be visited by the whole COA team. Meaning, like the outcome specialist should go to do maybe a joint visit with the case manager to talk about the, driving the case towards permanency, but it shouldn't be in. Because we got.
Oh, y'all talking about the thing that says what is a quality visit?
It's the
No.
collateral visit they're talking about.
Yeah.
There's another, so there's,
When
it's
they
on
came out.
PMA's new tool as well.
Right.
So, for example, like an outcome specialist, like there's, so you have these bi-weekly visits for reunification source, for example. One of those bi-weekly visits, and this is in addition to the safety visit that the case manager has to do with the child. With the reunification source, with those two other visits, which are bi-weekly, one of them should be the case manager and the other one can be
A support
a
staff.
support staff.
So,
But yeah, that's, and there's
We got
one
scored
for.
on that.
Because
yeah, the
it's
in-home
always,
service.
I'm just trying to figure out that we're interpreting it right. There is a whole bulletin around quality visitation. Quality visitation can only be completed by a case manager or above. So the state, you have to see it at least once a month in terms of quality visitation for kids in placement, at least once a month. And that's our requirement, once a month. I'm trying to figure out, so if it is a safety, an in-home safety, you see them once a week.
Yes.
The COA case manager should be seeing them once a week. Do you do visits in lieu of the COA case manager?
no, I don't do visits. And see, what happens is that if a case manager has a visit that has to get done or whatever, and they're saying that we can go in support of if the case manager for whatever reason can't make this particular visit or whatever like that, but not necessarily go in place of the case manager, like, or going to court in place of the case manager. Like, I can go to court with the case manager, but not in place of the case manager.
All right.
Yeah, so I have a question too, because that was been my question a lot too. I do a lot of the visits, a lot for the case managers, but I do it every week for this one particular case. I know that she does her probably monthly, like you said, like she could go, but each week I'm doing this visit every week.
Because you working on permanency, so you doing it.
Is there placement?
Yeah, the kids are placed. They're with.
Okay.
So she only has to
That's
do,
good.
we just wanna make sure it's not in lieu of, right, and that you can document. So your COA case manager is responsible for meeting with families monthly, right?
Right.
If it's a placement case and if it's an in-home non-safety during the monthly visit. you as support staff, y'all can visit them too.
Mhm.
If y'all working on something, that's fine. It just can't be in lieu of a case manager. It can't be in
Cause like
lieu
we
of.
can even do placements. They say, a support staff, cause like we're on.
You talking about placement moves?
Yeah, move, like literally take the person to the home.
Right.
And say that, you know,
But how could you do that?
they're safe or do all of the documentation.
Do all the
documentation at the house.
Alright, so we'll talk offline. Let's talk offline. So bottom line is they need to be able to add, y'all need to be able to input your structured progress. You saying you can't because you got a login. So Nathan, this might be a communication thing because you did say something came out. I remember sending an email to Sanchita based on, I think it was Yakua, based on Yakua about your people, y'all couldn't even upload documents. And I said, yes, support staff should have the ability to upload documents. I never got confirmation that it occurred, so I never sent anything out to all of the Kuas.
It does.
So y'all don't even know that your support staff can, so that's.
Wait, what do you mean that you can't
Our support
upload?
staff can what?
You can
They
upload
could-
without impersonating.
Without impersonating.
And do the contact log. So we have support staff, they're able to upload to any case, and they're able to put, stuff in the contact log to any case.
Right.
But yeah, they can't create a note.
Yeah, before they couldn't even put anything in it, they would have to impersonate to put something in it. So if the case, say for example, went and got the medical form, a physical or something on the evaluation, they would have to go in and impersonate the director or the supervisor in order to upload the form. As opposed to, as a support staff, you shouldn't have to go through that barrier. So we don't want you to have to jump through hoops. As a case say, can you create a structured progress note, not a contact event, but a structured progress note now without impersonating? No, you gotta
I
impersonate.
can't even get an ECMS without.
You can't get an ECMS without, you can get in. I think it's a difference between case aid and outcome specialist.
No, because our case aid can too, at
It's the same.
204.
Your case aid can get
All
in?
she needs to know is the case number.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you get in if you put in a case number?
If, like, initially when you first go into DHS Connect and you go on work on this, right? Which I'm trying to think, work on this.
You gonna walk it through, Jody?
You don't have
She
a
go.
work on list.
Huh?
That's why, cause you don't have a
You
work on
don't
list.
have a work on
No
list.
cases are
You're going
assigned
to the
to
wrong
you.
place.
Right, but in order for me to get into the system, I gotta go into work on list, right? Go to the portal, impersonate, and then go back to work on list.
Yeah, you don't actually have to.
No, you could go more, actually, right there, work
I mean,
shirts
well,
or work product shirts.
But the thing about it is that you know how do you know how long it takes to do that? Say if I'm uploading 50 documents,
Yeah.
right? That means that I have to go in each case like that. That's annoying. I'd rather just go in and open up all the cases. I can see all the case managers, all the cases, go and click the case name, the case manager name, all her cases come up, and then I can just upload it. Like, cause upload already takes all day, depending, you know
Yeah,
what I mean,
yeah.
because of the way that you have to go through. But I mean, I have went into cases like that, but that means I'm going into individual case by case number.
And you wanna see a whole
I wanna
list,
see a
cause you
whole
assign,
list.
as a case aid is assigned to a supervisor who supervises 5 case managers. She wants to be able to see all of the
All the
case
cases.
managers,
All the
cases, as opposed to doing the individual.
individually.
Gotcha.
Right. Because that would take all day.
Oh, I know.
Like, you know.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
I actually agree with that for our support staff. It is way easier for them to just see their whole team, especially with turnover and
They
stuff.
should see their whole
You know, right now they have to remember, okay, I have these case managers in my team. You know, if there's turnover, if there's cases being delegated, all sorts of stuff. And really, I guess it doesn't seem like a confidentiality or access issue to just be able to see the team and
No, if you're assigned to the team, you should see, yeah. You should be able to see. So it's not an issue there. I think it's just how it's designed for how ECMS, and you correct me if I'm wrong, in fact is designed that only the team that's assigned the case. What's considered an assignment is a KUA case manager, a KUA supervisor, the case management director, of course the director and the execs can see everything. So it was built before KUIS we don't have support staff. So the structure is DHS social worker supervise. We follow the same structure. There's no case aides and nobody else that have access. In order for Paul, for example, to look at my cases that were under me, he would have to go in individually. He would have to put a case number in, and then he could see it. So DHS social workers can't see their colleagues. The only time they can see it, oh, you can see some peer review, right? Can't you see the view alternate if the units are alternates? Do y'all have that?
I can see other peers. I can see everyone.
You can see it because you're an outcome specialist. If Fallon as a supervisor,
I only can see
as a
who's
work,
under
she can
my
see who's
director.
under her direct care. You can, so we did something in terms of as support staff. We knew that y'all would be fluid in terms of what cases y'all work on. You can see more. But if you just a COA case manager, right? COA case, you only seeing your own cases. Right. Yeah. And now our teams can see is the supervisor. No. So who's a COA supervisor? As a COA supervisor, can you see your alternate supervisors?
As my peers.
Your peers. You
You
can see
already
your
being
peer stuff.
supervised, like if they're under a certain director.
Director, you can see all that stuff. Okay.
For the people under that one director.
Right.
But I
But
can't see everybody in my COA.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's good. All right.
But I had a point about the single case plan, maybe a suggestion. When you're doing, for example, adoptions, maybe you can have something on there. If we're going to do the FAST and ASQ, what about like family findings and family group decision making? Is it a way that we can kind of, especially in adoption cases where the goal changes to adoption, to make sure that at least family finding referral was done, or to remind the case manager to do family findings in situations like that? Because I don't know if we're utilizing that,
Well, we ain't gonna lose it out of FTDM because our thing is FTC.
Well, I mean FTC, but there's a separate system.
So we got
there's a separate. Yeah, we don't do FTC.
You know
We don't do that. We do, but there is a separate system that as a supervisor, again, if people submit a family findings referral, I won't know, and they'll have to email me and say,
They do that in
"Listen, I submitted
DHS Connect too, right? Because that's again the multiple databases.
Yeah, the
You
separate
won't
system.
know. Yep, the
We
separate
should be
system.
doing family finding long before the goal of
Termination.
adoption.
That's what I mean. But on the goal at all, on the single case plan, there's
It
no
doesn't say
mention
it.
of a family finding. So maybe, or even on the single case plan, or it needs to be entered into discussion sooner
Okay, so
than
that's
what it does.
that's a practice specialist.
Yeah. Is there any mention of family finding? Got you. On single case
Because
plan.
that should be mentioned, right,
Okay.
in those ongoing permanency conferences.
Yep.
And then incorporated into the plan.
Yeah. I'll put that down. Aftercare worker. Who was my aftercare worker? You was an aftercare worker. Yep, for a little bit. So I don't know, Jocelyn. When a family, particularly for placement cases, so when a family is reunified, the COA case managers provide aftercare services for up to a year. In-home service for up to a year. But not necessarily, you won't see it in our system, right? Because the case is closed out. Sometimes they're still court involved, and it's not an issue when it's court involved. The biggest issue is when it is closed. They have no way to document that they are still doing a visit with Paul. I don't know because the case is closed.
It's out of the system.
Yeah, it's out. They can't see it once it's. Yeah. So I don't know if you say aftercare. I don't even know if it's a situation where you check off that aftercare is being provided, and then for that time the aftercare is being provided, you can still do at least notes, or what? Versus y'all can't even see the case no more.
No.
It's out forever. It's like bye bye land.
And
Jyoti?
I think we do give access to some of the directors to see the closed
Yeah, we see
cases.
them as closed, and it'll say kid closed, but they don't see them. Like once we approve the closing summary, it disappears, is gone from their queue, so they no longer even
They
see
can't
the
see
case.
anything.
And that's problematic because we still get audited on closed cases. So if there's nothing like, if they're saying, hey, we need it, I don't know, if there's anything that we can do to address our numbers for the closed cases, and let's say we got more information after the case was officially closed,
You can't
we're gonna
upload, you
continue to
can't do
get
nothing.
zeros, even if we got some further documentation. Let's say we're waiting for a birth certificate. It came in late, but we wanna make sure that it's still on the record. All we're doing is just putting it in the hard copy if it comes late.
Yeah, because so you can't even do an upload once the case is closed out. And I don't know. Let's put that on the
Yeah, that's the I don't know list.
That's the I don't know. I don't know.
Because they are still working on a single case.
I get the idea of documents, to be able to upload documents like a birth certificate, that's a great idea, but I have
Mixed feelings about.
I have mixed
Or
feelings
even if
about documenting ongoing work
agree,
with the
because
family when the family's actually.
It's not
Or
even
do
going
you-
with DHS anymore.
Or do you upload it, or do you do the structured progress note in Word or some other thing and upload it? Because you can't even upload it.
No, you would just keep it in the file.
You
that
can't
would
even
have
see
in your
it.
desk,
Yeah.
and just that's your documentation.
You know, and you know how I
So let me see
experienced this as a supervisor. We closed the case court involved, and we provided them aftercare for about 7 months. My aftercare worker constantly went out. One particular time she went out, we didn't like what we saw. Case ended up coming back open, and now I'm in front of DHS. I think it was like I forgot what kind of meeting it was, but it was a big meeting, and it was kind of like, where's your proof to say that you were providing aftercare? And we're like, oh, here, Microsoft documents that look like we might have did it the night before because we had this big meeting, and there was no proof in the pudding to say that that worker was out there every month to try to avoid.
I agree.
They uploaded it, right?
Yeah.
They should have uploaded it. and they
Well,
They couldn't do it now. They can't do it now because it's closed. So even if we had the ability to upload those documents,
Just a note, if only we could just upload notes and maybe like
the documents you received, the
yeah,
medicals,
medical and like you said, birth certificate.
That's better
Like-
uploaded because I get it if it's closed out to access. I completely get it. And then it might show that it ain't closed and it's active and y'all saying you got extra active case. Cause I can't even tell and think about it. Your director can't tell. Just looking at the system, what families are receiving aftercare.
Right.
No.
No.
You gotta go to your aftercare worker and say,
Yeah.
so if I don't like the Batala family, I don't have that case. I'm telling you, I got 4 cases instead of
Right,
5.
or
You don't know that.
Or I'm telling you I have 8 cases and I only have 1.
Right.
I'm telling you I'm out in the field and I'm
Yes.
not.
There we go.
That's a problem. They can't track what their workers doing.
That's the issue. Yeah.
I don't know how we resolve that, but we need to resolve that.
Yeah, even if it's the upload, that could probably, maybe, hopefully we can do that now. Even if it's upload, because what they used to
We
do
should
in the
be able to do
PBC
that
world,
now.
in the
Or even if
PBC
it's
world,
just
all they did, which was also problematic in the PBC world, but and that's performance-based contracting for general part care. So they used to send in reports because we had that unit. They used to send in a midpoint a 6-month one and a 12-month one, but you still had to go manually and say, okay, did I get the report for, this
I
particular?
mean, even if it's not a structured practice note, maybe the access to the contact log. I mean, just something to prove that.
Notes or something.
Yeah.
And it's some good work that goes on. And you definitely, particularly when reports come back, because it is, and I look at the last conference and say the aftercare plan was developed. It'll talk about the visitation requirements and stuff like that, but then I got to call and say, number one, who's the aftercare worker, right? Who's the aftercare worker? When the last time they saw the family? And everything is just verbal. Anything else?
I don't know if it varies by CULA, but there's gotta be an easier way for case closures, because
Oh, that's a huge one.
do
Okay.
the documentation, you do your FAST, you do your safety, you do your risk, and then you're waiting for the case closing summary. And you can't do it if our intake didn't close out CYD services yet. So I already just got an email of my supervisor contacting intake for the second time. Can't close out, do the closing summary because CYD services are still open. So I don't know.
Because you can't approve it, right? You can't
No,
approve it.
so yes, you can't go forward with the summary because CYD services are still there. And it can go back and forth to intake at least 3 times, 2 weeks that you haven't seen this family because it was closed either by court or non-court involved and you had your closing conference and you're waiting 2 weeks for it to go out of the system.
I think that might be a CUA thing.
By CUA, I don't know if it varies by
we have
intake or not.
a change, service change notification we send to our billing and they close it out and then you can do the closing summary.
Yes, so I don't know if
Get
there's a
ready to
protocol, a
close it.
timeline that certain CUAs follow or a certain system of like emails, but we just have like 3 people that we know we need to email to get it closed. And I don't know if there's a different way of the system that certain people only have access, but it can be weeks at a time before CYD services are closed out for you to finish the summary.
Yeah. I will put that down because I don't know if that's a system issue.
Or if it's a you
Tyrone,
issue.
That's what I don't
no,
know.
or if it's our issue, cause I do get, remember we asked y'all on Monday, Nathan, to send us lists if y'all have it, with pending investigation.
Yeah,
There's also
I was
that
gonna say that.
It's a
yeah.
practice.
I was gonna say
It's
that, yeah.
shared.
Pending
Yeah.
investigation, share
Yeah.
case.
But that'll, yeah, I think what she's talking about though is closing out the service.
But there also is those.
Yeah, that's the
Oh,
the
you can't
investigation
close out
is
the
issue.
service,
But
close out
then there's sometimes where intake can't close it out because it's shared with somewhere else, or like.
Yeah. Shared.
Why, so go back to that, I'm sorry, how come you can't close out the service?
Sometimes if there's an A next to it it goes to a different unit. My director then deals with it, so I honestly don't know
Like
who they
shared,
contact, but
shared,
they have to go call a certain woman who would then figure out if it's shared, and then she has to close it.
Shared.
The S, yeah, it's a letter next to it.
It's
that-
the shared
Yeah.
case.
Like I had
Shared
a recent
case.
example where there was a child who was in Carson Valley. Even though he was home, he'd been home for like 6 months. It wasn't showing that those services were closed out. So it took us same thing you're saying, a couple weeks for it to finally get that person on the phone who was able to close out of
Who
Carson
is
Valley.
it? Cause it's a shared, no, I do know shared case, shared case is, yeah, that's a shared case stuff.
Linda Moody.
Yeah, but
That sounds right.
Yeah, it's them, and they the only two teams that can do it. Belinda with her team.
That's right.
And then you have court.
Them about shared cases.
And I'm sure they have an overwhelming number
Yeah.
of phone calls and people to get back to as well,
Yeah.
but that's holding us up majorly.
So CUA should be able to close out shared case by themselves.
Yes.
We have to, I don't know why, Jocelyn, you gotta remove the indicator. I don't know why you can't just close it with the indicator because the kid was still a shared case kid. So the judge discharged it, but at the time, he still was a shared case. The judge just discharged everything and reunified them. You have to literally, either Belinda Moody's unit or the court unit has to remove the S. So
Right.
delete the S
Right.
and it's another letter.
It's
I
really
think
the
we changed
P.
it.
A S and a P. No
But
more
it's-
P's, no more.
I think
Right.
there's no more peace.
Okay.
I think that it's the validation on the closing of the placement, so we just need to remove that validation. Because right now, it's like if it's open, then you're not gonna be able to,
So it might be more, okay.
it's
So
more
then
so
can you
on
look
the
at that
closing of that.
validation?
Yeah.
Cause their validation is y'all better not close no case that's still court
Because the fact of the matter is,
Right.
it's sort of like
'Cause when they
changing
catch-
history on the kid. The kid
Yeah, it
was
was
shared
shared case.
and then
Let's
we
not
make
change
it
the history.
disappear.
Right.
It doesn't seem correct.
So you think it might be a validation thing?
Yes.
But that's separate from what you, I don't know whether
That just
that's,
must be per CUA.
it could be. So like who, what does APM do?
So it's the same thing.
I know
That's
the
why
shared
I think
case
it's
is
a
bad.
maybe a cool procedural thing. Is we have you have to discharge whatever open services
You do?
are on the child
You do?
before you can do the closing summary
Sure.
and close
So
them out.
who can do that?
Intake.
Your intake has to.
I mean, that
And
they're
your
the ones
intake
with
has to.
responsibility.
So, okay, so,
Yeah, so that's
What-
universal, then it's just probably.
so,
Cause then they
So
need
what-
something
what
that
could
says that
they-
it's
I don't wanna say no.
You can say it. It's all right.
4.
Cool
Okay,
for.
yeah.
she's talking.
No, y'all had some tough intake and billing people
Yes.
in Cool for. We love them though.
Gotta be.
Yeah, you gotta be tough in intake and billing. So
The investigation thing though is an issue.
I got investigation.
Yeah,
That's a
I
big
understand
issue.
We don't even know investigation is like, and then closing it out, you have to keep trying to contact the worker, like, listen,
Going up the
it's,
chain, you
yeah,
know.
like, we need to
Yeah.
close
I'll go
this
down. You
case.
should go down the chain.
There
and
you
stuff
go.
like that.
But that's problematic because then it keeps
Yes.
coming up as unseen children in our monthly report. That's
Right.
major.
I
The family
know.
thinks they're closed. We've told them, okay, we're all ready to close. They did the closing conference. Maybe didn't accept aftercare. And sometimes these kids keep showing up on the reports like month to month because of this one thing that happens.
Yeah, so we want to address that. We talked about it on Monday at our meeting. And the coolest, I gotta just check, Nathan, I'll be honest, I didn't look, was supposed to send, to, I think I said Glenda and someone else, a list of if we had some that had pending investigation.
Oh,
Cause I
yeah.
know Ellie's gave us a couple.
I know
They've
she
been
has,
waiting.
I think there's no Ellie's.
Yeah.
It was one case I came across, but I don't.
Yeah.
I can ask.
That's pending No, she gave me, she know Ellie's,
Oh,
remember she had her stuff there. She gave me some of those investigations, issues in kinship care. That's another story.
Remember, yeah, they can't shit.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. What else, y'all? So that shared case, Jocelyn's gonna look at it because she thinks that
Yeah.
is a validation in there. If so, we want to take that out. She might can change that quickly. Just delete it. Because you don't need a validation. The validation is the court discharge it out. So to have what Belinda Moody's unit doing in the court unit is just pulling up the same court order that they have. Sometimes y'all sending it to them to prove it, right?
It's actually an unvalidation. It's just making him not share a case when he wants.
Yeah, so you don't wanna remove the indicator. Right, okay. What else, y'all? Anything else? If not, y'all don't have to force it. I don't know if anything else. You got down your whole list?
So far, yeah.
Oh, good.
Everybody said
Nothing
that.
else,
We
y'all?
were all on the same page, yeah.
Anything, you have anything else for now?
I think at this point, do we want to even go through those? We might want to redo them.
Yeah, redo them and then for Monday. Yeah, cause I don't know where, cause they weren't right. It's really based on what you wrote up here.
Referral.
Yep,
That's
it's
the
ba-
majority of them.
Majority is referral, but then you have the other thing that we gotta figure out is with those holidays and after hour things, we gotta figure
There
that out.
was one thing I noticed that wasn't there, and in the Monday meeting, we were talking about it, the COOA supervisor director meeting. I guess it's when you're moving a kid from the home and you want to have a placement stability conferences. They were saying that we're not having those, and that we're moving kids, moving children in homes, but not having those conferences. So I don't know if those placement stability conferences should be, again, highlighted, emphasized, or implemented more frequently in this process, because again, we're moving kids without first meeting to try to save that home or even having that conference, that placement stability conference.
That's great. So like, if a SAF is done that says that a young person is changing placement, was a placement stability conference. The issue is that means that's done. Well, I guess you ain't going to be finished.
The problem with that is
It's done
you can't put the
afterwards.
stability conference in a sort of a cycle because
Because it can happen whenever.
because it's not until Kim comes to my foster home and my foster mother says, I can't stand him another minute unless you do something. Kim has to go back and say, we need a placement stability conference, right? It's triggered really by the interaction of the resource parent saying, I don't want that. So the case manager, stability conferences are there to prevent
move. So we do afterwards, yeah.
We do it
But
after.
we thinking of some things though. I know I've had preliminary conversations with some of the foster care providers about when they give y'all 30 and y'all 90-day notices.
Sticking to that.
Some of them copy us on it, but y'all should use that to send to the team and director. I know things is like hectic, but it makes sense because you want to try to maintain that placement. That's less work for you to do, less work for your intake staff to do. So as soon as you get the written notice to have the conference. So we're trying to figure out how we build in firewalls so that can happen.
And hopefully it's stability for me.
Yeah, that's just been the first thing I said.
I have something with wishful thinking that I don't think might be possible, but in a field with such high turnover and case transfers, I've gotten so many different case managers' cases that have left, but like they left with warning that there's some sort of like form that you can fill out for vital important information of the history of the case to transfer to the new worker. But I know that that's not realistic if somebody just up and quits or gets fired. So I just don't know if maybe there is a form that can be created in the system for that type of information that should be known if it's not necessarily uploaded or typed in a note from their previous work. But that's where my frustration comes from getting other people's cases, whether it's for various reasons. So I just think there's too many reasons to narrow it down, but I don't know if it can be addressed if someone has an idea. But
case transfer somewhere.
yeah, but people don't do that.
Like when I go into every case and tell them what's in the case and what's not in the case, so then they can go out to case managers, because that has happened a lot. Case managers leave and they get these cases and they don't know what paperwork they need, what paperwork was done, wasn't done, and all that. So you know what I mean. So then I go in and say I don't see a purpose. Like I'll audit the case. So then when you'll go out, so
you doing it all? You an auditor?
we do audit our cases. I mean, Q&A audits our cases, but we audit our cases first.
What court you at for it?
Okay, 9.
Oh, you at 9?
Yeah, I'm with Yolanda. You know, we gotta stay
Oh,
on
dear
top of
Jesus.
this.
That's right.
Oh,
God
boy,
help-
Yolanda.
God help
Oh,
me.
that's why you thought everything. I'm gonna call
Help
Yolanda.
you.
I got her on speed dial. You know what? But
I would say that that's also an internal issue, because if the worker leaves or gets fired, the supervisor should be doing something like that for the newly assigned worker. I mean, that's just basic social work practice, I think.
So one of the things we did, and I think, so this is some stuff that y'all can, maybe you can bring up Tyrone as a practice group so that it can be some sort of standardization, is that, you know, we have workers that leave too. Hopefully, for the most part, people only give you a 2 weeks notice. Some people give you a month. So we would remove them off a case carrying so that you could stay in the office and do your paperwork. So your responsibility really was doing those transfer summaries. You ain't do your single case plan for 3 years, so stop trying to do it now, right? Just give me a transfer summary with the fee so I can pass it on, right? You ain't do your safety assessment 9 months ago. Stop trying to do the. See, I think we try to make people put all the cases all in compliance. It ain't gonna happen because it's been out of compliance, right?
Let's just give
So just do the transfer summary for me. Do me the transfer summary and don't go in the field. Don't sit in the field.
Probably not the cell phone.
That's what you got. So I think it's a, so bring that up, Tyrone. I think it's really and I get it because and I had to learn that. So the supervisor, no, I want everything up to date, but it ain't gonna happen. And I'm sending you to court to testify, and you ain't all so. Yeah.
I know my crew will probably try to bring up how we can because we're using FamCare. I don't know if you're familiar with that system. We're using the visit tracking FamCare. We take a picture of the client and it's timestamped.
Yeah.
So I know one of the things they're talking about doing is that you can actually do the note in FamCare also, but then you would have to do the note in FamCare and the note in ECMS. So can you somehow make the system compatible where you can transfer?
We ain't gonna
data?
make a comparison one system.
No, I mean,
you
not
better get
just
your
us.
fellow coolers at the same.
Not just us, but you know,
right,
if
Josh. I'm
other
trying to help you,
people
Josh.
chose-
We got enough here.
I
So
swear to
wait, does
God.
the FamCare valid? No, does the because we have this sheet that we're asking for
No, there's
our
electronic.
case
FamCare
managers to
literally
carry.
electronic.
It's like a GPS.
It's a GPS tracking, but also you can go to a case manager and say, when did they visit these clients, and literally come up with and then if you have the single case plans and all that, you can actually click and audit all of your stuff.
But yours
too.
is still in the pilot, right? Or did y'all move it
We're
forward?
doing the visit part, but as far as the documentation,
Station.
single case plans, structured notes, like
Look
all
at
of
y'all,
that
y'all
stuff,
like
can
that.
So
actually
at least it validates that
visit was
I
done.
said I was to your
Yes,
house.
and it has the time, and it has
said
the
no, she
GPS.
wasn't.
Yeah.
You know
They
I
can
was
talk
there.
it does.
Yes.
That's the future, man.
We
Yes.
have been looking into that too. I'll talk to her to see if she.
Cause she probably can show you it. But I know
Talk to Des.
they did it as a
Tell them
result
what
of
you
some
do.
of their falsifications and
And you can print out literally, and it'll have a printout with time, and then the case manager's uploaded into the system.
Because it
So-
protects the case manager as well as the
Exactly.
Exactly.
We've been to court, and an attorney like, how do you know the case manager went out there? I'm like, well, we uploaded the picture in FamCare. She's like, what's that? I'm like, well, it's a GPS tracking, and
they like that.
And
Sounds
he-
more professional than because she told me.
I put the note in. So I mean that's something. So I know my crew again, the QI, and they would want to know because right now you would have to complete the note in FamCare and then the note in ECMS. So right now we're just taking.
Tell them don't do anything yet. Yep, we gotta see. I don't know. It would make sense if all 10 crews kind of adopt. I can't speak for IT, but if all adopted, then that might make a little bit because they may want to do FamCare. This may want to do social work
Evolve,
care. This one
right.
might do ETO, Evolve. Then you can't. But who knows?
Yeah. I'll talk to her. Yes.
I know that's something that Florida does do. Remember they showed us their stuff. Florida does that. They are one of the people that we tend to talk to in terms of peer-to-peer, and they do theirs like a little electronic little thing. GPS is GPS, and they do their links. Yeah. That's the future. We gotta get this right first.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I want to say is I will clarify that stuff with the walkthroughs. I just looked at the policy again. It's a monthly walkthrough regardless of service.
Yeah, monthly.
And you
thought
don't
it was
have to
monthly.
do.
Because I didn't answer saying, please send me that.
Yeah, I saw your email.
It's like, I
And
mean,
I think
really,
you said something also
it's
about
a little
making
intrusive.
sure that every kid is in the household when you do that visit, so you can't like, if it's more than one kid, you can't do that visit and that's the other kid. I bring something.
No, you
up.
could do the visit, you just gotta go
You
back.
just gotta go back.
Okay.
You could do it, and you could do your walkthrough, you just gotta go back to see the other
Okay.
kid, yeah,
You don't have to walk through again.
yeah.
Okay.
Poor people, they
I think, you
deserve
know
some
what, it's so
respect.
funny, cause we think that we write things clear, and then some people read it different, right?
Yeah,
Interpretation is like,
That's my point.
anything else?
One thing, it might have been mentioned at the last one, but if, in case it wasn't, is for adoptions and PLCs, if there was a way, you know, I realize I guess you can't close them yet, but if there was a way they could get off our queue and not hurt us on a visitation report.
Oh.
That's
You
a
mean
good
after
thing.
adoption's been finalized?
Yeah.
After it's been finalized,
Adoption.
whether the subsidy has.
It's really adoptions, right? Is it PLC's the problem too?
PLCs, yes.
It's probably drop
Wait,
off.
so what was it?
You
wanted them to what?
Drop off, cause they show up as.
Why is PLC a problem?
I know, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
That I'm a little confused at. It seems like the process is overly complicated. What they want us to do. Right now, the last thing I heard from them is you do a transfer summary and then you do the closing summary.
You should do a
Maybe 9
transfer.
times
Why,
out of 10.
who's telling you that?
What's her name?
Somebody making it up.
Tamara.
Graham White.
Yeah.
I'll put her
Probably
name.
gonna tell
I'll put her
me
name on
she
my
never said
tablet.
that either, but it's frustrating. At first they said you only have to do this closing summary, and they said no, you shouldn't do the closing summary, and it's.
They want you to do what?
Oh, cause the closing summary closes it out, so we'll figure it out. Closing first of all, we need to go back and just give y'all real basic bullets and revisit again, because we have so many kids now that are in adoption and PLC. When we talked about it so long ago, people forgot. I don't even know the policy, I'm gonna be honest. So we need to do like real specific bullets on what needs to be done when you have an adoption in PLC to close it. Cause you do have to transfer it to not open in CYD service. If you do your closing summary, it's gonna close it out. So, but people gotta know that, right
there.
So we can get little, so we'll do that.
That's what I initially
That's the
was
frustrating
doing, and
thing.
then I guess they were telling us we were doing it wrong. I think one of the issues too was that was the last child in the case, so I couldn't actually just go in and manually change it to.
Okay, so we'll do that. Tamara Brown, right, we're gonna do adoption, PLC. So like, some sort of guide for closing, but not wordy, bam, bam, bam. Understood.
Because they really, it seems to me that they really should be able to, COOS should be able to close at the finalization. And sign, as he signs, it goes to the permits and work for the subsidy.
Let's do that. That would be nice. So it can be on their stuff so that y'all have some urgency. Okay.
Like that would make sense to me, that one, the PLC, I'm not so sure.
PLC, all you need is the subsidy. Once the subsidy agreement is done, who generates the payment? It goes back to us on Tamara, right?
Yeah.
Yep, that's fine. They will generate the.
Right.
Yep, so it's the same thing. Could it go to the permanency worker? Okay. Anything else? We good, I'm good. I'm done. I must really like y'all because I stayed the whole time. I usually walk out. Because I can't take it. The level of detail drives me crazy. And let's just talk about a kid. So tell your colleagues though that we had lots of fun. I will be here on Monday.
See you again.
No, y'all don't have to come. You don't have to come. Yep, it's gonna be here at Tuck. I just do not sure. Always check the room, just in case. Because sometimes, like they had us next door in 205, but the room is too small. So that's why we went to 207. But it is gonna be at Tuck. You don't have to come back.